Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, consumers, demographic marketing groups, revolutionaries, sleeper cells, domestic terrorists, bottom feeders, enemies of the state. I'm a useful idiot, and I want to bring up a topic today that's not going to win me any friends, I'm sure. It's where the United States, are at with Syria right now. And let me start out by saying I have no love for the Assad regime. I really have no feelings one way or another about Syria. I am completely ambivalent. They're their own country. They can do what they want. That's their business. They're no national security threat to the United States and really have no effect on my life whatsoever. So that's a moot point. But the pattern I want to bring up is this friend or foe, the fine line between friend or foe when you are in alliance with the United States. And Syria is just the latest example. So now we have Hillary Clinton referring to Assad as a tyrant. Elliot Abrams' security advisors called Syria a vicious enemy. Obama accused Assad of outrageous bloodshed. In March 2002, the U.S. State Department's Human Rights report on Syria concluded that continuing serious abuses, including the use of torture in detention, which of course is a moot point since the United States also indulges in the same behavior. But that aside, all that said, and yet over the last 10 years, Syria was one of the most common destinations for extraordinary renditions across the globe. In the words of former CIA agent Robert Baer in 2004, if you want a serious interrogation, you send a prisoner to Jordan. If you want them to be tortured, you sent them to Syria. So there's an understanding. We value the brutality of the Syrian regime, and we like the fact that they could work outside the law and do the dirty work for us. I know there's probably a lot of citizens in the United States who applaud this kind of behavior and think that any means we use to combat our stated or unstated foes is fair game. I disagree. I think when we become the enemy, they've already won. We should be leading by example. And these arguments about lowering the standards that we've set for this country to achieve these dubious results is very questionable, but a topic for another day. So you have the same formula that was used on Gaddafi. 2001, gave up his trying to get a weapons of mass destruction program off the ground and renounced terrorism. Bush even took him off the list of states that support terrorism. And Libya was able to achieve the highest per capita, highest standard of living in Africa with very popular support. And if you go to Egypt with Mubarak, we have the same pattern. He served his purpose for all this time, and now he becomes demonized. So what I'm driving at is this fine line between whether you're a friend or foe of the United States. So I would suggest to all the leaders, government leaders and corporate leaders who operate in Africa and the Middle East and Asia and into China, take a very close look at your relationship with the United States and make sure that you have the relationship you think you do. Because, once again, I have no love for states like Syria, Iraq, Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Iran. But they are their own countries, and part of the complexity of our relationships with them is these mixed messages they get. Gaddafi thought he was on board. He becomes the next Hitler and ends up beaten up by thugs in the street. Mubarak, he's now a caged animal, thinking he was friends with the United States and playing ball with the outline that we put out for him in parameters of behavior as a state. Syria, haven't really had any problems with them. All of a sudden he becomes the next Hitler. Ahmadinejad in Iran, Iran basically was on board with the war on terror as far as giving us access to Afghanistan. They didn't know we were going to Iraq at the time. Iraq is another example. 20 years ago. You know, we supported them because they were fighting a war against Iran, and then we give all the support and green light to Saddam Hussein, and then all of a sudden he becomes the next Hitler. Happened with Noriega in Panama, too. You know, he's working for the CIA for over a decade. Next thing you know, he becomes the next Hitler, and we got to go down there and take care of him. So I'm driving at this disturbing pattern that we're seeing now manifested in Syria. One can make the argument that they were useful idiots, but that is not how you set a good example on the world stage, just in my opinion. So, once again, to all you corporate heads out there, all you government leaders, all you diplomats, if you're in Africa and you're in the Middle East and you're in Indochina or Asia, take a very close look at your relationship with the United States, because the line between a friend and a foe is very thin indeed.